Installing a new 120 volts outlet in a warehouse presents several options, each with its own considerations. The goal is to provide a safe and code-compliant power supply for the two computers, printer, fax, radio, and other equipment, while addressing the fire marshal's concern about the extension cord. Here are a few options to consider. Firstly, conduit with drop cords. This option involves installing a 20 amps breaker in the panel and running 1/2-inch conduit up to the ceiling. Then route the conduit approximately 50 feet to a FOX for junction box. From the junction box, run conduit vertically down to the desired height of the drop cords, approximately 25 inches. Install drop cords with grounded plugs, specifically name a 5-15P, that are UL listed for the intended use, such as data equipment. Secure the drop cords to the conduit using conduit clips or cable ties. Secondly, surface-mounted raceway. This method involves installing a 20 amps breaker in surface-mounted raceway, for example, Y-mold, from the panel to the desired location. Route the raceway over the beam and along the ceiling. Install power outlets in the raceway at convenient locations. With this setup, the equipment can be plugged directly into the outlets, eliminating the need for drop cords. Thirdly, mobile power distribution unit. A PDU is a convenient option. Purchase a mobile power distribution unit with multiple outlets and a heavy-duty power cord. Locate the PDU near the equipment and plug it into a nearby wall outlet. Then connect the equipment to the PDU outlets. This provides a centralized power source without requiring drop cords or conduit. There are several additional considerations to keep in mind for all options. Firstly, confirm that the existing electrical system can handle the additional load. Calculate the total amperage draw of all the equipment that will be connected to the new circuit to ensure that it does not exceed the capacity of the 20 amps breaker or the wiring. Secondly, use flame-retardant materials for conduit and raceway installations to meet fire safety requirements. This is especially important in a warehouse environment. Thirdly, secure all electrical connections properly and insulate as necessary. This includes using appropriate connectors and ensuring that all connections are tight and well insulated to prevent electrical hazards. Fourthly, if using drop cords, ensure they are not overloaded and are not used as a permanent wiring solution. Drop cords should be sized appropriately for the load and should not be daisy-chained or used to power multiple devices beyond their capacity. Fifthly, install conduit clamps and supports to secure the conduit along its path. This will prevent the conduit from sagging or becoming damaged over time. When selecting an option, also consider the following points. For the conduit with drop cords, this is a more permanent solution that provides a dedicated power source. It requires more labor and materials to install, but it can be a good choice if the office layout is unlikely to change. For the surface-mounted raceway, this offers flexibility in terms of outlet placement and can be easily modified if the office layout changes. It is less intrusive than conduit and can be a good option if aesthetics are a concern. For the mobile power distribution unit, this is the easiest and most portable option, but it relies on a nearby wall outlet and may not be suitable for all situations. It is a good choice if the office layout is temporary or if frequent changes are expected. Regardless of the option chosen, it is essential to comply with all applicable electrical codes and safety standards. Consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the installation is done correctly and safely. Be sure to check local codes for the type of wiring, its support, and allowable uses. Check the National Electrical Code for the most up-to-date regulations. Some relevant NEC sections include Article 300 covering wiring methods, Article 314 covering junction boxes and pull boxes, and Article 400 covering flexible cords and cables. Remember, any electrical work should be performed by a qualified electrician to ensure safety and compliance with local codes. Proper grounding and bonding are essential for safety. All metallic components of the electrical system, including conduit, raceway, and junction boxes, must be properly grounded and bonded to provide a low impedance path for fault current. This helps to protect against electrical shock and prevent fires. Grounding should adhere to NEC Article 250, which covers the requirements for grounding and bonding electrical systems. Surge protection can safeguard sensitive electronic equipment from voltage spikes and surges. Consider installing surge protection devices at the panel board or at individual outlets to protect the computers, printer, fax machine, and other electronic devices. Surge protection should comply with NEC Article 280, which covers surge arresters, and Article 285, which covers transient voltage surge suppressors. Proper labeling is crucial for identifying circuits and equipment. Label all circuit breakers, outlets, and junction boxes to indicate their purpose and the equipment they serve. This makes it easier to identify and troubleshoot electrical problems in the future. Labeling should comply with NEC Section 110.22, which requires that all electrical equipment be marked with its purpose and rating. Finally, consider energy efficiency when designing the new electrical system. Use energy-efficient lighting and equipment, and consider installing occupancy sensors to turn off lights when the office is not in use. This can help to reduce energy consumption and lower utility bills. Energy efficiency measures should comply with NEC Article 220, which covers the calculation of branch circuit, feeder, and service loads, and with applicable energy codes and standards. Always prioritize safety, compliance, and functionality when installing a new outlet in a warehouse. By carefully considering the options and following best practices, you can ensure a reliable and safe power supply for the office equipment. Remember that using a power strip plugged into an extension cord over a long distance is not a safe or code-compliant solution. The voltage drop over the length of the extension cord can cause equipment to malfunction or overheat, and the extension cord itself may be a fire hazard. It's crucial to address this issue with a permanent and code-compliant wiring method. In addition to the options already discussed, consider the following. Firstly, use appropriately sized conductors for the branch circuit. The conductors must be sized to carry the load current without overheating, and they must be protected by a circuit breaker or fuse of the appropriate size. The size of the conductors depends on the load current, the ambient temperature, the type of insulation, and the length of the run. Use NEC Table 310.15b16 to determine the allowable ampacity of conductors. Secondly, use appropriate wiring methods for the environment. The wiring method must be suitable for the environment in which it is installed. In a warehouse, this may mean using conduit or cable that is resistant to moisture, dust, and physical damage. Use NEC Chapter 3 to select the appropriate wiring method for the application. Thirdly, provide adequate support for the wiring. The wiring must be properly supported to prevent it from sagging or becoming damaged. Use conduit clamps, cable ties, or other approved supports to secure the wiring to the building structure. Support should be provided in accordance with NEC Section 300.11, which covers the requirements for securing and supporting wiring. Fourthly, protect the wiring from physical damage. The wiring must be protected from physical damage that could result from impact, abrasion, or other hazards. Use conduit, cable trays, or other protective measures to shield the wiring from damage. Protection from physical damage should comply with NEC Section 300.4, which covers the protection of conductors and cables from physical damage. Fifthly, provide proper overcurrent protection. The circuit breaker or fuse must be sized to protect the wiring from overloads and short circuits. The overcurrent protection device should be selected in accordance with NEC Section 240.4, which covers the protection of conductors against overcurrent. In addition to the technical aspects, consider the following practical factors. Firstly, location of the outlet. The outlet should be located in a convenient location that is easily accessible to the equipment that will be powered. Consider the layout of the office and the placement of desks, computers, and other equipment when determining the location of the outlet. Secondly, accessibility for maintenance. The outlet and wiring should be accessible for maintenance and repair. Avoid installing the outlet in a location that is difficult to reach or that is obstructed by equipment or furniture. Thirdly, future expansion. Consider the possibility of future expansion when designing the new electrical system. Install additional outlets or wiring capacity to accommodate future needs. Fourthly, aesthetics. The outlet and wiring should be installed in a way that is aesthetically pleasing. Use surface-mounted raceway or conduit to conceal the wiring and minimize its visual impact. Fifthly, cost. The cost of the installation should be considered when selecting the wiring method and materials. Compare the costs of different options and choose the one that provides the best value for the money. By carefully considering these factors, you can design and install a new outlet in a warehouse that is safe, reliable, and code compliant. Remember to always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that the installation is done correctly and safely. Proper planning and execution are essential for a successful electrical installation. Think about the long-term needs of the warehouse office space. Will the equipment used there change frequently, or will it remain relatively consistent? If the equipment is likely to change, a more flexible solution, such as surface-mounted raceway or a mobile PDU, may be the best choice. If the equipment is unlikely to change, a more permanent solution, such as conduit with drop cords, may be more appropriate. Also consider the impact of the new electrical system on the existing electrical system. Will the new circuit overload the existing panel board or feeders? Will the new circuit create excessive voltage drop on the existing system? Perform a load calculation to ensure that the existing electrical system can handle the additional load. If necessary, upgrade the panel board or feeders to accommodate the new circuit. Another aspect to consider is the potential for electromagnetic interference. Electronic equipment, such as computers and printers, can be susceptible to electromagnetic interference from nearby electrical wiring. To minimize the risk of interference, use shielded wiring and keep the wiring as far away as possible from sensitive electronic equipment. In addition to the safety and technical considerations, it is important to obtain all necessary permits and approvals before starting the installation. Contact the local building department to determine what permits are required for the electrical work. Failure to obtain the necessary permits can result in fines and delays. Remember to keep accurate records of the installation. Document the wiring method, materials, and equipment that were used. Label all circuit breakers, outlets, and junction boxes to indicate their purpose and the equipment they serve. Keep these records in a safe place for future reference. Regular inspection and maintenance are essential for ensuring the continued safety and reliability of the electrical system. Inspect the wiring, outlets, and equipment periodically for signs of damage or wear. Replace any damaged or worn components immediately. Test the ground fault circuit interrupters periodically to ensure that they are functioning properly. Clean the outlets and equipment regularly to remove dust and debris. Consider the environmental conditions in a warehouse. Is the area subject to moisture, dust, or extreme temperatures? If so, select wiring methods and materials that are suitable for these conditions. Use weatherproof outlets and enclosures in damp or wet locations. Use dust-tight outlets and enclosures in dusty locations. Use high-temperature rated wiring in areas with extreme temperatures. If the warehouse is located in an area that is prone to power outages, consider installing a backup power system such as a generator or uninterruptible power supply. This will ensure that the office equipment continues to operate during power outages. If the warehouse has a fire alarm system, ensure that the new electrical system does not interfere with the operation of the fire alarm system. Consult with a fire alarm technician to ensure that the installation is done in accordance with the fire alarm system requirements. Before starting any electrical work, always de-energize the circuit and verify that it is de-energized using a voltage tester. Follow lockout-tagout procedures to prevent the circuit from being accidentally energized while you are working on it. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses, gloves, and insulated tools. Never work on electrical equipment while standing in water or on a wet surface. Be aware of the potential hazards of working with electricity and take precautions to avoid electrical shock. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to perform the work. Safety should always be the top priority when working with electricity. Lastly, confirm that the chosen solution meets the specific needs of the warehouse office space. Consider the number of outlets required, the power requirements of the equipment, and the layout of the office. Choose a solution that provides adequate power and flexibility for the current and future needs of the office space. Remember, the goal is to provide a safe, reliable, and code-compliant electrical system that meets the needs of the warehouse office space.